All right, ladies, we are live, and everybody out there watching, welcome to the ladies' room. Come chat with us in the ladies' room. You all, I am one of your co-hosts, Ashley Michelle. And ladies, go ahead. You all can introduce yourselves.
Okay, I'll go ahead. I am
Hello,
Cannon.
hello. This is Jovo.
Okay,
Kenny.
go ahead, Jovo. Oh, you're done. Okay, Jovo in the house with her Nubian head scarf on. I love it.
How
All
y'all
right.
doing?
All right.
You have a little bit of a delay over there, I think.
Yeah.
I do. It's been crazy all day. All day.
All right. And our girl Cannon in the house.
Hey, everybody.
All right. I am so excited about today's show. We're going to just go ahead and jump right in. All right. Oh, Jesus Lord.
Bloopers. It's the blooper reel.
Right? Bloopers. All right. All right. So let's go ahead and jump right into our first show. All right. So for those of you all who um, don't know, there was a bit of I guess you can say, a trend or a challenge going around social media where people were sharing red flags. So we're familiar with a red flag, right? So a red flag meaning anything that tells you to pump the brakes or stop when you are in a relationship or entering a relationship with somebody or just start to date them. And there are tons of them, right? People really got on the bandwagon and started doing it. They started, just posting things that they probably experienced before that gave them a red flag. Okay. And people were loving it. I mean, I swear I saw it just loading my news feed for like a couple days, right? So I'm like, what in the world are they doing? But then shortly after that, I started to see that people were doing a challenge for green flags. And so I just wanted to talk about that. I thought that was very interesting. I like that it's more of a positive take. We have to be aware of red flags, right? And respond to them the appropriate way, usually by walking away, right? Usually. But I think that it's good to recognize some green flags, some things in a relationship or a new, courtship that tell you, oh, okay, so he's the one or she's the one or this could work. So we're going to talk about some green flags. So
Okay. I guess I'm going first. I really wanted to give this a lot of thought, because I feel like we have like all of these tricks and tips and things that we try to feel like is gonna make us have like the perfect partnership, like all of these things that we think are gonna help us identify the perfect mate. But what I found is that it actually is not as important as it's not who you're with is not as important as the dynamics that you guys actually have together, right? And those dynamics are going to fall under your perceived partner commitment, right? So that's how much you perceive that your partner is committed, because you're only going to do as much work as like if you think the other person is not committed, then why would you even take time or energy or effort to really put your all into a relationship, right? So that requires trust. That means that you need to believe that that person is actually committed to the relationship, right? Then the next one is appreciation, right? And how much you show appreciation. We're talking about two separate people. So you're not going to be as outwardly focused to say, how much appreciation is this person showing me, right? You're going to be super hyper focused on how much appreciation you show. And that's where things like understanding your partner's love languages and things like that comes into play, because the way that they receive or give appreciation may not be the same way that you give or receive it, but you still need to be able to be committed to showing that appreciation. That's going to determine whether or not you're going to have a good relationship. Sexual satisfaction is very important. You know, you gotta, and when it comes down to that, it's more so quality over quantity. So it's not about, you know, making sure you have it going on a certain amount of times or whatever. It's really going to be up to that individual. Like I say again, dynamics, like how you guys are working well together and making sure that you're aware of what pleases the other person, right? Whether that is the amount, you know, and things like that. So just making sure that you're aware of that for your partner. Then it's going to be perceived partner satisfaction. So it's going to be how much you perceive that your partner is happy. And it's going to be you doing things. It's going to be as long as you have two people that want to ensure the other person is happy. And that doesn't mean like, oh, let me sacrifice all of my, let me sacrifice my feelings for everything and just give everything to this person. But it more so just means that you want to have an unselfish attitude when it comes to the relationship. Like the more unselfish you are about it, the more likely that relationship is to last and be of value. And then the last one, which is everybody should know about, is how do you resolve conflict? Conflict resolution, right? If you're able to do it in a healthy way, that's when it becomes important to understand your attachment injury. Well, it's something called attachment theory, and that is the theory that we all have things that we have going on with us from growing up, you know, and the way that we kind of like defense mechanisms. I'll put it that way. So when we have stressors, we have different things that trigger us, the way that we react and interact. And it's important for us to be aware of those things so that we can find a healthy way and have a healthy way to resolve conflict. And if you're doing those things, then you can really, it's a green flag, right? In that relationship, it's going to be good because both people are going to be working to making sure that they're doing those things. And as long as both people are doing those things, then the relationship will work. It's not as important as, oh, did they go to the gym 3 times a week, or, oh, do they look like this? Like that's not as important as that other stuff is. So you really just got to stay away from toxic people, you know, just be your healthiest self. And that's the best you do.
So I hear you're saying place less significance or less attention on the flags, but more so on the dynamic. Sometimes the flags can be misleading, right?
Yes.
And I know also women especially do this, where we'll see some good things that seem like green flags, but we move too fast. And it's like, well, just wait a second. There's a green flag, but it actually kind of just means keep going, but slowly, and stay watchful. You know, but some people jump ahead because they saw the green flags, you know. But you're saying don't focus so much on that. Focus more so on the dynamics that you have with the person.
Yeah, focus on how you guys are interacting with each other, right? Because somebody could check off all those little boxes, right? But that don't mean that all those other things are good. And if those other things aren't good, it doesn't matter how many boxes they check. It's not going to work.
So I have a question though. So what about people who really haven't developed much of a dynamic because they just met each other? So what would you say they should be looking for?
I mean, it's still, the thing is, even in the earliest stages, I mean, of course, like the sexual satisfaction and all that part, you may want to, you know, hold off on that with somebody you just met. But simple things like the way that you guys communicate with each other, you know what I mean? The way, the different ways that you just see that person show, the way they interact with their family, like a lot of those different things, you can pay attention to that. And just take the time to get to know somebody. I would say in the beginning, make sure, as opposed to, like I said, trying to check off boxes and rush to anything, take some time to be able to decipher through those things when you meet somebody. I think things like that show up pretty early a lot of times.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Cannon Hill. Mrs. Cannon Hill. Every time I say that, I think of Lauren Hill. It has a ring. Your name has a ring to it. All right. So, and yours does too, Mrs. Jovo. So what do you think? What are some green flags? How would you answer this question? Uh-oh, we can't hear you. can't hear you.
Here we go. Here we go. Hello, hello. So for me, when I think about green flags, I think about, does this person live through accidental growth or do they live intentionally? Like, and I like what you all were saying about in the beginning, because we live in this time of social media. We live in this time of, there's a lot of pressure on people to either settle down or to be with a certain type of person, a combination of
Mm-hmm.
both. And I think we look more so at the externals and not enough at the internals. And I think when we talk about internals, we got to look at, how does this person grow? Are they constantly learning and growing by making all of this mess and growing accidentally? Or are there things that they do intentionally?
Mm-hmm.
Right down to, even if it's a single mom or a single dad dating each other, or a woman dating a single dad, is he intentional with visitation with his child?
Mm-hmm.
Does he have structure where he's able to visit with his children? Same thing for a single mom. Is she intentional with how she's raising the kids, or does it seem like things are just going along accidentally? Something, a catastrophe has to happen, or a mistake has to happen for them to learn 99% of the time. I think that's important. And you can look at that through just small things that they do. Even if it's down to getting to the date on time. The first couple of dates you guys have, or the first 3 dates, are they constantly late? Do they look like they're just kind of squeezing you into their schedule? Or are they intentional about their time? That's important to me.
Mm-hmm.
I like what Candace said about conflict resolution across the board. You definitely have to have some conflict resolution skills, and within that, have some open mindedness. I think a lot of times when we talk about red versus green flags, I think red flags, we look at, again, what's on the surface. We look at, just what we see, the tip of a
Mm-hmm.
person, that's their behavior, and we don't look at, you know do they value the opinions of others? Do they show empathy? Are they
Mm-hmm.
open minded? When new ideas are introduced to them, how do they react to that? And you can
Mm-hmm.
do that with small things. Like, let's say you all are at a group outing and you all are talking about a topic, and they are just adamant that everybody else is wrong and they are right, and they're really aggressive in how they're expressing their opinion. Like, they're just not open to hearing anybody else. To me, you need to watch out for that. A green flag would be if they show some type of empathy, or show some type of open-mindedness that says they will consider what the other person is saying,
Mm-hmm.
or they're listening to certain parts, and they're not necessarily agreeing, but they're listening. They're active listening. They're not
Mm-hmm.
just closing what everybody else is saying off. So
Yeah.
I think those are things, just the empathy, open-mindedness, conflict resolution, but definitely if they're living with intention, because we got a lot of people, and I like what Candace said about the external stuff. You're looking at whether or not what they look like on the outside. You're looking at their bank account. You're looking at, and I know that we're going to get to this later on in some of our other topics. Can he afford me? Can she put up with me? But are they growing? Are they able to say, what, this is what I've accomplished, but these are some things that I'm also working on. I see this in myself, that these are some things that I need some work on. To me, that's a green flag if they're able to identify their shortcomings, but also highlight their accomplishments. No one wants to air out, their shortcomings or their character defects. But I think it's a green flag when someone can do that and say, I'm not perfect and this is what I'm working on. That way you got everything up front on what this person is and what they're dealing with.
Yes.
So those are green
I
flags. Yes.
Yeah, I appreciate that because a lot of times, I know for women especially, women tend to focus on the surface level things, like, oh, he's so kind.
Mhm.
He brought me flowers, and he
Mhm.
called
Mhm.
this morning, and then
Mhm.
again in the afternoon. Like, those are like real surface level things that really don't say much about the person. They don't really say much about how he feels about you. And those are things that can
Mm-hmm.
change, even if they are very well intended. Those are things that can change
Mm-hmm.
once you're in a relationship. And I imagine once you're in a marriage, certain things start to slack a little bit, so you
Right.
don't want to go into a new relationship with somebody or a courtship with somebody where you're thinking that those things mean that you should continue to move forward. Like you should appreciate them,
Mm-hmm.
right? But and respond to them, but they definitely don't mean as much as I think a lot of women think they mean. So I
Right.
appreciate that.
Right.
So let me ask you all about the second part of this question. How to